Alright, hello. So welcome to changing a string, and changing a set of strings, and today we're also going to change a tailpiece from this one to this Whitner tailpiece. This was about $20 on Amazon, and if you're teaching a bunch of students at once, these are great because they have built-in fine tuners. I don't really have the hardware proper to do this. I currently have a webcam taped to a ball cap. So just bear with me. Maybe in the future when I have more funds, maybe I'll remake this video. But today we're going to be doing that and changing some strings. We're not going to be putting this chin rest on this video because this needs to be repaired. One of these are a little tight, and I don't have the proper tool with me today. But that's really easy. All you have to do is get that tool in these little holes and tighten it around the violin itself. Okay, so I already have that off. And today we're going to be putting on a set of helicore strings, which you get a lot of bang for your buck with those. They're not that expensive. I think a set was about $45. And they make a great sound. I have a cat, and if she gets in this video, I'm sorry. So here we go. She probably will because this is the laser pointer right here. What we're going to need today is a tuner. This is a chromatic tuner. This is an app, and it works wonders. So as you can hear, not that great. So first things we're going to do is we're going to take this off one by one. And once we do, we're going to be really careful about making sure that the sound post, which is inside below the E string side, I don't know if you can see that post in there, right in here, doesn't fall. So here we go. First off, I like taking them off A, D, E, G, because that's the order they are up here. So super simple. We're not going to be peg doping today, but I suggest peg doping if you're about once a year. So for me, that's about every second or third string change. But if you're teaching in a school, maybe that's just once every string change, because situations are a little different everywhere, and I get that. So I'm trying my best to keep this in video here. This doesn't want to come out. With these strings, since they're not broken, I'm probably going to hang on to these. These are just Zyx strings. They're pretty good. But if these are red labels from a school district, I'm probably just going to toss those. Those are really not really worth it. I would steer clear from the red labels. They're a really cheap string. That E string was actually a Parazzi E string from a spare. So as you can see, my bridge fell off already. That's what we want today. Typically, you just want to change one string at a time, but since we're changing the tailpiece, we are also going to be taking that off. So this is really simple. Just unplug that. Here we go. Oh, got the wrong thing done. So you just want to hook it around here. This may need to be tightened a little bit differently. I went with the longer setting. Hopefully that's... And basically with this particular setup, if you turn these gold bolts around, it changes the length by, I believe, 3 millimeters. So here we go, trying not to make the sound post fall. We're just going to insert it like that around. There's a little hole down here at the button. There we go. Yeah, that was a good decision with the longer one. Okay. So as you can see, that's how it's going to be put on. And this is just like a hard plastic that's keeping these around. It'll actually stretch out a bit too. So let's unwrap the A string here. I like starting with the A string. I wish I had some peg dope here because I could show you how to do that. But here we go. I don't really know why I like to start with the A string. I know in theory maybe that should be the last one going on, but it's the order that we tune. So I think I'm just a creature of habit. Where is that bridge? There it is. Okay. Oh. Okay. So hook that around there. I'm going to insert this A string into the Whitner. I'm going to bring this up here so you can see it. Into the Whitner tailpiece, just like that. Make sure it's all the way to the wall if you can, so that way it won't slip out. I don't know if you can see that pretty well, but you see how it's all the way in there? That's what we want. Okay, so here we go. And if you don't know, the bridge set, the short side of the bridge, which is where my ring finger is over here, is going to be on the E string side. Okay, so you don't want it like this with a tall end on the E string side. You want it short end on the E string side, and on the F holes, right where the cross of the F, that's just about where the bridge is going to go. More professional instruments are really particular where they're going to go, but for maybe elementary school, it doesn't really matter as long as you get in that range. So typically, a string change is much simpler than this. And actually, we're not going to put that on yet. We're gonna get this basically in, and then we're going to slide the bridge in after that. So this is the important part. I'm not sure if you can see this, but this, I'll actually pull it up. Well, it stayed in the bridge. Sorry, the tailpiece. So there's a hole in this peg that this is going to go through. I like to poke it through just to where the silver of the string, not all the way through where there's more coming out. I don't know if you can see that. Let me put that against the computer screen here. Just to the silver, not where the winding is coming out. Okay? So let's put this tailpiece back on. Put the peg in the peg box. String in the tailpiece. This is a lot more difficult because the tailpiece has come off and I've changed the tailpiece. This is usually much simpler to do just one string at a time. Okay. And if you do it one string at a time, you're not really risking... Oh, actually, this needs to be re-drilled soon. Okay. So I just put it through a little bit because I want to be able to hook on later. So how this is going to work is you're going to do towards the peg, away from the peg, towards the peg. And this tailpiece does not want to stay. So towards the peg. So if you can see that, it's going to be really easy to see on different ones because they're going to be different colors up here. Away from the peg, so I want to cross the string, and then towards the peg. So I'm going to cross one more time, and I'm making an X. Making an X. Sorry, I guess you couldn't see that. It'll be easier to see on others. And if you can see that, let me get out of their way. See if I can get out of my way. There's a cat in my way. It makes a really nicely wound peg box. And more organized means it's less likely to break and less likely to unwind. You can see how it's a nice tight winding. Nice cluster. So, if you can see that, we don't have the bridge on yet, and that's okay. But we should be really careful that the sound post isn't going to fall. And this is really loose. Let's get some other strings on. So this is a nice gold end, so that'll be nice and easy to see what we need to be doing at the end. Okay, here we go. So once again, through the tailpiece, the fine tuners down here, make sure it's all the way against the wall. I don't really have a problem doing this, but sometimes people will like to maybe just put a pencil, make sure it's all the way in. Speaking of pencil, I should grab one of those. Because I forgot that we actually need a pencil for this job. Okay. And see, this is why some people start with the E string, is you're actually going to have to move this A string out of the way for this. The sound post is still good. So how this is going to work, this is how I do it. I just loosen it up just so much to get it around the nut, so you can see how it's going around here. Now this is very, very loose, and that we want it to be very loose. I'm taking my time with this too, make sure you can see everything. Okay, so remember, through the hole, just enough to get the metal through, all the way through. Let's see if we can see this. So towards the peg, away from the peg, and towards the peg. So we're making a nice X. See that? Just making a nice X. Okay. We're just going to tighten that up, make sure we're not caught on anything. And you want to keep a good tension on the string too, so it doesn't, so that way we keep that nice cluster. Good. So once again, you can see how that's a nice tight cluster of strings. That's really nice and easy to see on the D string. Okay. So E string is next, which is nice because we can put the A string back. Actually, we might have to move the A string to the other side. Yeah, let's just do that. Remove the A string to the other side of the nut. Here's the E string. Oh, green. Nice. So we're getting to the point where we're going to want to put the bridge on shortly, which is another interesting challenge. So, one more time. We're into the tailpiece. Oh. When I use the helichord strings, I prefer the wound E. It's a little bit less shrill of a sound, but if you want to fiddle, maybe it's good to have that ridiculously bright sound, but maybe for an orchestra setup you don't want that. Or maybe you do. Up to you. I don't really care. Okay, so remember, it's just going through a little bit here. Oh, here we go. Okay, it's coming out. Get that a little further. A little bit less. One more time. Sometimes these don't want to bend properly, so you just do one of these things and that straightens it out a bit. Sometimes changing strings is difficult. Okay, so there we go. That's what we want. So remember, towards the peg, cross away from the peg, and then finish with the cross towards the peg. Okay. So that sound was it coming out of the tailpiece, which will happen. The E string does not like to be wound sometimes. Yeah, I need to get better hardware. I'm sorry that this is not as visual as it really should be. I am trying my best here with the tools that I have. And once again, if the bridge was there, this would be much easier just to change one string at a time, but I felt like changing a tailpiece was a good way to do things. Okay, so once again, towards the peg, cross away from the peg, and then cross towards the peg. And I'm going to keep a hold of this just like that, and I'm going to tighten it until I can finally set it in its resting spot. Okay, make sure it's in its place. So the lower two strings, it's not going to be possible to wind them as close in a cluster, just because that's, or at least on my instrument, because of where the hole is drilled. Truthfully, the hole should be a little bit closer to the peg. That's a good sign to know that the hole needs to be redone. So if you see on the D string, you see how it's all very close together, and then the E string, you can see how it's much further spread, and that's because the hole needs re-drilled. Okay, we're going to double check the sound post, and we're still good. Okay. Okay, so I missed this, which is super easy. Okay, so now we're to the point where I'm really going to need to put the bridge back, okay, to make my life easier. So this is super simple. Remember, short side on the E string side. Okay, I don't know if this video is going to be flipped or not. I'm not that techie. So there is a, oh, there it is. So it's really important for the E string, I don't know if you could see this, there is a green setting here. And then what you need to do with two hands, you're just going to raise it up. Okay? And the placement's not perfect yet, but that's okay. That's okay. We just need to make sure we have that tension on the sound post. Okay. So final string, before we finish up here, is the G string. In order to save time, I'm not going to be showing you how to put the chin rest on. And honestly, it's really simple. Just make sure you don't over tighten it. If you hear word crackling, you went way too far. Okay. So once again, through the tailpiece. And this could be so much easier now that, actually I have to need to move the D string. So like we did with the A string, I'm going to move the D string to the other side, so that way I can access that G string peg. So through the tailpiece. Okay, so that we're wrapped in that fine tuner. And now that there's tension on the sound post, I can really lift this up and show you what to do. Okay, so I'm going to move that over a bit. So through that hole, it's like threading a needle. So I'm going to keep tension on that so it doesn't move. So towards the peg, cross away from the peg, cross towards the peg. In this hole, I also need a hole re-drilled on this one. But sometimes that's the nature of a secondary instrument. It's not really going to hurt anything, but eventually it won't keep a string. Eventually the hole will get so close to the other side of the peg box that it really needs to be re-drilled, because the hole will be actually underneath the peg. Okay. So make sure we're nice and tight up here. There we go. It came out again. Are you kidding me? Okay. Well, this is not being friendly. Okay, here we go. This is it. So I'm going to keep the tension now in the middle of the string, so that way that doesn't happen again. Just with my thumb in the air. And since I know I kept tension up here, this up here should be good. It won't be as tight of a spread as I want it to be, but like I said, I need these re-drilled. I'm going to put the D string back in its place, and I'm going to grab one more tool that we need. And that tool is lead pencil. Mechanical is the best, for sure, because it stays small. So this is what we're going to do. It's easy. When you do this without taking off the bridge and changing the tailpiece, you just want to do this right as you're changing each string. So this is how we're going to do it. We're going to loosen the A string. It's really simple. Take your pencil, and you want to do this every single time that you change your strings. It will save you money in the long run. I'm just going to take my pencil and I'm just going to color along this nut where it makes contact with the string. If you get a little bit on the fingerboard, no big deal. It's just graphite. It'll come off within one time of you playing. Okay. And then after I do that, I'm going to go down to my bridge. Just move it a little bit. Maybe you want to hold it in the air, especially if it's the E string. You want to do the same thing. You're just going to color in that section. This will help prevent the string from unwinding, and it'll help prevent bridge warping. And the bridge needs adjusted still, but that's a quick fix. And I'll show you how to do that real quick at the end of this video. Okay, so that came undone, but no big deal because I was able to catch it. And don't worry about tuning yet. You just want to make sure there's tension because we're going to tune at the end here. Okay, and same thing with the D string. Just going to color. There's actually evidence of me doing this before. I'm just going to move this. Really hope you can see because the baseball cap bill is in the way. Good. G string is next. You can really do this in any order. In fact, I'm kind of picking randomly right now because this is just some preventative maintenance here. Whenever you see some strings that are unwinding at the nut or the bridge, that's because the friction has just been too great on it, and it's been pulling at the string too hard. And this is a wound E string, so we have to do it for it too. You don't have to do the E string on the bridge because there's a special tool there already to prevent that issue. Let me see if I can get this. You see that green thing? That's going to prevent that winding from happening and from the E string from cutting into the bridge. Okay, so let's put the E string back. Okay, so now what we're going to do is make sure so that was just the notepad, that the bridge is in correct shape. So this is how we're going to do that. First off, I can see that's tilted forward too much, so I'm just going to, too much. Okay. So you can do this on either side of the bridge, but we're going to take a piece of paper and see if it's parallel. So I can see that right now the bridge is too high on the right side and too low on the left side. So it should be completely parallel or in line with the same F hole, the inside F hole. So this is kind of the tough part because you just need to kind of eyeball it. A professional luthier will be able to get this in the perfect spot for the instrument. But I am not one of those. I am showing you how to do this to keep your repair cost low. So that looks pretty good. I don't know if you could see that, but the part of the F hole is right there, and the other side is right there. So the bridge looks just about centered, so that's good. Make sure we're not leaning. Okay, it doesn't look like we're leaning. Okay, tuning time. So here's my chromatic tuner, and we're not going to be playing this instrument today, so it's not going to be perfect, and honestly, we don't want it to be. So here we go. So that's an F natural. You're going to have to tune about 3 or 4 times. Okay, so that's 30 cents sharp on A. I didn't really mean to go that sharp, but it doesn't really matter. So that's an A flat. Needs to be a D. that's why we don't really mind what the tuning is right now, is listen how flat that A is already. Okay, that was 30 cents sharp, and now it's 20 cents flat. So that's supposed to be an E string, so here we go. So if you're finding that the pegs will keep slipping, two things. You might need to peg dope it, and when you're turning these, you need to make sure that you're pushing to the inside of the peg box. So right side you're going to be pushing left, left side you're going to be pushing right. Okay. So now I'm going to untighten the fine tuners a little bit. Just about the middle range. Looks good. And we're going to tune again. So there's a misnomer about tuning strings, that the first time you should put them on, you should tune them a half step flat and let it sit overnight. That's not a good idea. These strings are so modern nowadays that they are engineered to be at a certain tension. So you will actually wear out strings longer if you do that, because they're going to stretch the core out inside of these windings, and you really do not want that. You're going to go through strings faster and they're going to break faster. Okay, so we tuned again, and this time we're going to do a little bit more of a detailed tune. Also, if you find that your pegs are just clicking too much and they're not smoothly turning, you need to get peg dope. And peg dope is, you pretty much color on a crayon where you see the wear is. See, the reason why the D string is so nice, I don't know if you could see that, but the hole has already been re-drilled to be closer to the middle, so that's good. So this is my secondary violin. I'm going to be using this to teach elementary school students, and I figured a Whitner tailpiece is going to be faster to tune my instrument, which means more instructional time. So that's why we're doing that. Okay, and another good learning device. I don't know if you could see that, but the back of the feet towards the tailpiece are off of the violin. That's because when I was tuning the strings and pulling them towards that, it was dragging the bridge with us. So what we want to do is middle fingers of the feet, thumbs of the feet, index fingers up top, is we want to just pull it just back a little bit. And we're going to check it. That looks much better. Yeah, that's awesome. It's because we move the bridge, we just change the ratio of the two, so we're going to tune again. Okay, well, there you go. How to tune a string, how to tune a violin, how to change strings, and how to change a tailpiece all in one video. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment, email me. Yeah, I think that's everything. I know we didn't do the chin rest, but I need to do some repair on this chin rest, and honestly I might get a new one. I think I need a hamburger chin rest instead of whatever this is. I should know. But there you go. If you have any questions, let me know, and happy violin maintenancing.